Hello and welcome to the Luv Doc podcast with hosts Waldo Wachewski and Ophelia Brewski.
Okay, have you ever been in that situation, someone you love, maybe your partner, comes up with this huge career idea, big ambition?
Yeah, and it sounds maybe a little risky.
Exactly, risky, makes you nervous.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, okay, how do I support them? But also, maybe wave a little red flag gently.
Mm-hmm. That balance between being the cheerleader and being, realistic, it's tough.
It really is. So today on the Luv Doc, we're going to tackle exactly that. We're digging into a letter someone sent to the Luv Doc.
The Luv Doc, known for being blunt.
Oh, yeah. Blunt, often pretty unconventional advice columnist. And the advice he gives here, it's kind of surprising.
So the mission today is really looking at how he navigates this partner's ambition, the potential, instability, and what we can learn from it.
Right. So the basic setup. We've got a husband married almost 8 years, and he's worried. His wife tends to jump between interests, and now jobs too.
And the latest big plan.
She wants to quit her decent marketing job to become a personal trainer.
Okay. And you mentioned the Luv Doc's response takes a detour.
A wild detour. We'll get into that. But it circles back to some really insightful, practical advice in the end.
Interesting. So we're going to unpack this whole dynamic, the relationship, the advice columnist's unique take.
And what it means for you, listening. If you ever find yourself caught in that same spot, supporting a dream versus voicing a real worry. Let's get into it.
Okay, so the letter writer starts by painting a picture. He calls himself a low-key, stable guy.
Right, and you can tell he really loves his wife. He says she's beautiful, smart, funny, has lots of interests, always finding new things, places, restaurants, books, music.
Sounds like she has a lot of energy, very vibrant.
Totally. But then he gets to the pattern.
Yeah.
He says she gets really excited about something for maybe a few weeks, months, and then
poof, on to the next thing.
Exactly. He gives examples like new furniture, appliances, clothes, even paint or wallpaper. Stuff around the house.
And he's okay with that part.
Yeah, he says he can handle most of that because he's, stable himself. But here's the kicker, the jobs. He says she treats jobs the same way. She's got a degree, always lands on her feet somehow, but still, 5 jobs in 8 years.
Wow, okay, that context is important.
Definitely. Which brings us to right now. She wants out of her good-paying job at a marketing company
to become a personal trainer.
Yep. And he's quick to say, look, she's passionate about fitness. She lost weight, got fit. He believes she knows what she's doing in that area.
So it's not about her knowledge or passion.
No, it's the practicality. He says he knows other trainers, and they mostly do it on the side. Why? Because it's so competitive and maybe not a lot of money to go around.
So a reasonable concern based on what he knows.
Seems like it. So he suggested, cautiously maybe try it on the side first before quitting the paying job.
How did that go down?
Not well. She felt insulted, said she's sick of her job, feels unfulfilled, and wants to pour all of her time and energy into making this work.
Right, wants to go all in.
Exactly. So his big question for the Luv Doc is, look, do I support this change or tell her that she should keep her job for a while she tries it out? That's the dilemma.
Okay. And this is where the Luv Doc comes in. What's his first reaction?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. He starts off super strong, saying something like, one of the most difficult and frustrating skills you have to learn in life is the ability to keep your mouth shut when you know an idea is going to be an absolute fucking train wreck.
Whoa. Okay. That's direct.
Extremely direct.
Yeah.
And then almost immediately he pivots. He says, okay, that doesn't apply in many scenarios, BUT. But he says it is an immutable prerequisite for working in the Trump administration.
Wait, what?
Holy crap. You're psychotically obsessed with the Luv Doc, but can't think of a flashy gauche way to share your obsession with the world? Stop thinking and make a beeline for the Luv Doc's home sweet home on the interwebs, thepleasurecraft.com, where you can find a veritable treasure trove of sick merch that will make even your coolest friends super gel. Honestly, I don't know why you didn't already think of this yourself, but you're welcome. Have fun on the Pleasure Craft. It was made just for you. Let me spell it out for you one more time. www.thepleasurecraft.com.
Politics. Why bring that up?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah.
He dives into this whole extended analogy using the first Trump presidency.
Okay. How does he frame that?
Well, look, we need to be really clear here. We're just reporting what the Luv Doc wrote in his column. We're not endorsing any political view, just explaining his argument.
Understood. So what did he say?
He uses some incredibly strong language, calls the administration a dumpster fire, refers to Trump as an insufferable, egotistical nitwit, claims competent people were run off and replaced by family members and sycophants.
Wow. He really doesn't hold back.
Not at all. He even talks about the voters, suggesting millions weren't fucking paying attention or were addicted to the shit show, and quotes some really crude, inflammatory, hypothetical voter thoughts about owning the libtard cucks.
Okay, that's pretty intense language for an advice column.
Extremely intense. He calls the whole period a wickedly entertaining satire on the decline of American intelligence. A nightmare. Terrifying. Again, these are his words from the source.
So the point of using such an extreme, controversial example, what is it?
I think he's setting up a scale, right? He's painting a picture of what he considers a maximum level disaster, a true train wreck with huge consequences. It's like he's establishing the absolute worst case scenario imaginable in a public context.
To contrast it with the wife's situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because after all that, he brings it back. He says, look, this whole digression illustrates that in nearly all scenarios, it's important to speak up when you see a clown car pulling a school bus over a cliff.
Okay. So speak up for the really big disasters.
Right. But then he pivots back to the wife. And here's the crucial distinction he makes. Not all impending failures are apocalyptic.
So her becoming a personal trainer isn't the clown car on the school bus.
Apparently not, in his view. He says in this case, the worst thing that might happen is that someone might learn something.
That's a much different framing, learning something versus apocalypse.
Totally different. And his core point about the wife is simple. She is simply trying to improve her life.
Okay. So what's his advice to the husband then, given all that?
It's very direct. Your job is to not get in her way.
Don't block her.
Right. He explains why, too. He says there's very little to be gained from poking holes in someone's plans for personal betterment, especially if you're married to them.
Because you just look like the bad guy.
Exactly. You come off looking like the opposition, an obstacle to overcome. Which isn't really helpful in a partnership, is it?
No, probably not. So if he shouldn't oppose her, what should he do? Just stand back?
No. He offers something constructive. He says instead of blocking, ask her if she would let you help her draw up a business plan for the first 3 years.
Get involved collaboratively. Why 3 years?
He explained that's about the average time it takes for a business to become profitable. So it sets a realistic time frame.
Okay, that makes sense. It's supportive but grounded.
Right. And the message to the wife should be collaborative. Let her know that you're willing to commit if she's willing to commit. Show you're in it together.
So he becomes part of the planning, part of the effort.
Exactly. He becomes part of the solution, not the problem. And this way, he can still help keep it real, inject some pragmatism, but within a supportive framework.
That's actually pretty smart advice after that wild detour.
It is, isn't it? Though the Luv Doc does end with a dose of reality. He acknowledges it's tough, saying it will take an amazing amount of luck and fortitude for her to be successful in 3 years.
So managing expectations even while encouraging the effort.
Yeah. And then he throws in one last darkly funny line saying basically, the same could easily be said about America, so let's all do our best to stay positive.
He really ties it all together, doesn't he? Even the detour.
He does. But, this whole thing, this deep dive into the Luv Doc's advice, it does leave you thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah. About that line, where does supporting someone's personal betterment cross over into maybe enabling a pattern that could lead to real financial trouble?
Right. Where's that line between loving encouragement and just pragmatic caution? Especially if someone seems to jump from big idea to big idea and they don't always pan out.
The source, the Luv Doc's advice here, it makes you really ponder that question. He gives specific advice for this situation.
But it doesn't necessarily give a universal answer, does it? It's something for you, the listener, to think about that tricky balance in your own relationships.
To read the column that spawned this podcast, go to austinchronicle.com/columns/the Luv Doc. There are probably worse things to do with your time, right?